Okay guys, so it was a crush washer. I don't know how many oil changes I've done, but I still could not tell up underneath there. Headlamp would have certainly made a difference, but it looked to be a part of the drain pan. But I put the screwdriver against the side and then hammered the back of it with my other fist, and it popped right off. So it should be flat on the bottom of the pan. If it's not, if there's a raised ring, that is a crush washer. So knock that off, otherwise you're not going to get a proper seal when you put the new one on, having the two crush washers there. So yeah, good times.
And you see, there's where it goes, perfectly flat. It's a little scraped off of the paint, but I did not do that, so I guess that's maybe just from the friction of the washer. But I'll go ahead and put this new one in here. Just wipe it off, make sure you don't have any dirt or oil there, and yeah, it all feels pretty nice and smooth. So I'll go ahead and put it in there. The magnetic plug's going to want to stick to the side, so it's a little awkward getting started, but once you get it in there, just tighten it up by hand, and then you're going to torque this to 30 foot-pounds. And then I'll show you the filter next, and on the filter housing, the torque on that is 15 to 22 foot-pounds or 18 foot-pounds, plus or minus. And then for the center bolt or plug on it, that one you're going to do to 10 foot-pounds. So that one's going to be lighter. That way when you use your 3/8 inch drive to remove it, it won't remove the whole housing. It'll just remove that center part. So I'll be back after I torque this down and get up there to the filter housing. Okay, so something I didn't mention before when I was removing it, sometimes these drain plugs can be really tight. A lot of people have a tendency to just Hercules them by hand, and when you're taking it off, it can be real hard to do. You can use two hands, but what I recommend is get back, on maybe the back side here, and make sure you're pulling it to you, not pushing away, because when you're pushing away, you're a lot more likely to bust a knuckle on something and cut yourself. So yeah, sometimes you'll have a difficult time, that's all I'm saying. And on the torque wrench, what was I going to say? On the torque wrench, when you're tightening this, the best way to do this is to, because we've got an extension, is to use two hands. Use your one hand on the handle down here and the other hand up on the head here, to make sure that the head doesn't turn sideways on you, because you don't want to strip out that drain plug. So again, 30 foot-pounds on that. Mine's already torqued, so let's hop up to the filter. I'm gonna skip because I'm pinned under here a little.
Okay, before I put the filter in, I just wanted to mention something. This is a little bit of the oil we got out. Oil. Sounded a little southern there, but there is a little bit, it's kind of hard to see because I got the reflection going, but there is a little bit of a tan sheen to it, like a cloudiness kind of marbled through it. That's okay, but if you do have like any creaminess, like it's real milky looking, you got a big problem, probably a blown head gasket or something similar. But it is normal for it to be this dark. With direct injection engines, it gets dark real fast. So color is not necessarily the determining factor of whether your oil is good or not. The color, it can be that color because of tiny particles that won't make a difference. But without testing the oil, you don't really know. But companies like AMSOIL here have gone through a whole lot of testing, and they don't put protection up to 25,000 miles or 1 year for no reason. They've done a lot of testing, so I have faith in that myself. I live in the desert, so I'll likely change it sooner, but that's just because, well, we get a lot more dirt into the filters and the oil, and so while this is a 15,000 mile filter, I will probably change it at 10,000 regardless, because, you know, I don't want to take a chance with my engine. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna lube up the gasket there and put some oil inside the housing here. You know, it doesn't have to be completely full, because when you put it in there, it's going to soak into the filter media slowly. So you'll have to add some, wait a minute, add some, wait a minute. But get it close to full, because that's going to keep the engine lubricated when you first start it up. Otherwise, this is going to have to fill up with oil before any oil goes to the rest of your engine. So, you know, it's easy to do. Some cars, the filter goes in sideways and it's not possible, but if yours goes in from the bottom, it's always a good idea. So I'm going to do that and put it up in there. And I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The one thing I may not have mentioned before is with this tool, your socket, when you're taking it off, when you have this on the bottom there, it's pretty normal when you're loosening it for it to kind of wedge itself against there. So when you pull it out, it's going to be stuck on there and you're going to have to work to get it off. So what I do is, before I get it all the way out, just a little bit before, kind of take your ratchet and wiggle it back and forth till you can get the socket part to pop off of the filter housing, because it's a lot easier with an extension on it than when you've got the and the filter stable, or, you know, secure. Sorry, with the filter housing secure and your extension on the socket, so that you can get it off of there, because once it's out, it's kind of a pain. But hopefully that helps. Okay guys, so an important thing to keep in mind here when you're doing this, when you're tightening this, don't fight it. If it doesn't want to go, it's not lined up right, you don't want to cross thread it. If it feels like it's resisting too much, go ahead and loosen it counterclockwise until you feel it get to the next thread. It'll kind of drop in a little, and then tighten it up. And then once you get it to where it's hand tight, then, you know, you're going to need your socket on there. And I went ahead and just left that end piece off, because I kind of want to see if that ball valve inside this housing is leaking like the other one was. I don't think it should be, but they do put a seal there just in case it does, so, you know, it must not be that uncommon. But yeah, it's in there, so I'm going to go ahead and torque this to 18 foot-pounds and start putting some oil in. So I'll be back. Okay, so I took the filter housing back off because I forgot to put oil in it. You know, it's hard to remember everything, every step as you're making one of these videos. You know, you're trying to make everybody gets the most valuable information and understands how to do this, so it's really easy to forget things. But when you fill this up, you can just stick a funnel in the center and then fill it up. You know, it's not all the way full because I didn't want to overfill it, because I don't want it spilling on me. And when you pour it into the center, obviously you want to stop before it gets to the top there, because as that oil in the center flows through the filter, it's going to fill up more on the outside if you've got a higher level in the center. So get it, you know, pretty close to full, and then put this on, torque it down to 18 foot-pounds, and then we'll start filling up the engine with or the motor with oil. It's going to be, I believe, 6.2 quarts. I'll check and make sure, but I think I'll probably just put 6 quarts in. You know, if I'm not all the way to the top of the full mark, I think I'll be okay. But let's see what it takes. Okay, guys, I don't know if my lens was as dirty as it seemed like it was, but if my video's been a little blurry for a little while, that was my fault. But one good thing about replacing this filter housing from this plastic one to the metal one, besides the fact that, well, it's not leaking at all. You know, it is brand new, but the valve is not leaking even, not even a little bit. But also, when I had the filter wrench on there, it did not get stuck on it. Like with this one here, you have to kind of retighten the, or not really retighten, but once you re-loosen, sorry, once you get it tight, the socket tends to stick on the housing, and so you kind of have to put it on loosen and just break it free, not loosen the actual housing, but just break it free from the housing. And on the metal one, that is not the case. It just slid right off. So definitely upgrade the plastic one. And if you look on here, a couple of times I had my oil changed at different places, and I'm not sure if you can see, but there's marks on there where it's marred up, and you can see they weren't using the proper tool for the housing. And the problem with that is that you can break the end there, and then getting it out becomes a nightmare. So metal housing much better, and definitely make sure you torque it to the right amount, because it will be harder to get out than it was to put in, I assure you that. This one I put in myself, and I did not use the torque wrench. I just went pretty tight by hand. And actually, you know, I think I did use a ratchet, but I just kind of hand tightened it, and it was really difficult to get off when I took it off now. So hopefully it shouldn't be too hard now that I've torqued it to spec. But let's go ahead and put some oil in. Okay, so I can't really show you me pouring the oil in here, but basically it's going to be about 6 quarts. So go ahead and pour about 5 quarts in there, and once you get 5 quarts in there, start up the engine and let it run for a little bit, and just let the oil circulate, and then you can go ahead and shut it off and give the oil a minute to drain back down, maybe a couple minutes, and then check your oil level over here, and you know, keep adding as you need to. When you're checking it, go ahead and pull the dipstick beforehand so that there's no oil in the dipstick tube, because when you pull that dipstick tube out and there's oil on it, it brings oil all the way up the dipstick tube. And so if you put the dipstick tube back in before it's had a chance for that oil to run back down, you're not going to be able to see an accurate measure of your oil level on there. So whenever you do check it, always give it about a minute, maybe 2, for the oil to drain back down. And yeah, that'll work. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it up. On the dipstick, it's pretty easy. At the end, you've got these little dots here, and you want to make sure that you get it in between those 2 marks, ideally up to the top one. But do not go over those marks, because what happens if you go over those marks is then your gears are churning in the oil, and it gets air all in the oil, and well, oil or air does not lubricate the same as oil. So if you get too much, then you may need to siphon some back out, or even open the drain plug and let a little out. But yeah, try not to. It's not too hard to get it in between there. Just add it in small increments. From my experience, usually from the low mark to the full mark is about 1 quart. So I'll see if that's the case here, but that's generally what I've experienced. Okay guys, so you can see I got about 5 quarts in there, the first gallon plus a quart out of there, and I'm really confused, guys. have I lost the Toyota tick? Because it was ticking and it took like, I don't know, 10 seconds for the oil to circulate and it stopped. It's not ticking. Everybody seems to have that tick. Listen, guys. It's improper lubrication. Oh my God, guys. Do you guys hear this? Since I've had this truck, 50,000 miles, it has had a tick. That tick is constant. It's not there now. This is blowing my mind. Listen, does yours sound like this? Let me know, because mine never sounded this quiet until this oil change. And I haven't even put the 6 quart in yet. Mind blowing, guys. AMSOIL, I'm impressed. So, if you didn't see it, this is AMSOIL Signature Series 100% synthetic motor oil. 0W20. They say it'll last up to 25,000 miles and 75% more wear protection. Let's see what that says about one. Where is that on here? At the bottom there, based on independent testing using the ASTM D6891 standard test. Independent testing. You guys, don't put anything else in your vehicle. Listen to this. Where's the tick? Just thought I'd throw this in here with 5 quarts in. I don't know if you can really see there, but it is just a tiny bit below the bottom dot. Well, it's moved now, but it was just a little bit below the bottom dot. So I'm gonna say 6.2 quarts was accurate, and we're about 5. So I'm gonna add another quart and I'll be back. Guys, 6 quarts, and it's a little over halfway between the marks. So looks like 6.2 quarts is right. You can put in the extra 0.2 quarts if you want, but I'm good with that right there. As long as it's between those 2 marks, you're good. Oh, what was I gonna say? On the oil, you can see here, I got about 2 quarts left, so that's pretty dead on 6 quarts. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the skid plate back on and clean up all my stuff here, and I'll come back and tell you what I think. Okay guys, so one recommendation: when you're done, make sure you clean your oil pan really well, because if you're going to put this in your car, you don't want to get oil anywhere. And if you're really worried about getting it real clean, soap dissolves oil really good, so get some Dawn and clean it off and you're great. And make sure you close the little vent valve there. And so the other thing is, the oil that I took out of the filter housing I had in here, it's always a good thing to do that, just so that you can inspect the oil, and this is what you're looking for. And unfortunately I found some in mine. You see that piece of metal there? That is bad. You don't want metal particles in here. So that is the kind of thing that metallic drain plug is going to help with. It's going to pull out any of those metallic particles that are in there, and when you do your next oil change, you'll find them. So hopefully this is an isolated thing that's been kind of hanging out in the drain pan. I don't know, obviously not, but hopefully it's isolated, because that's not good for your engine. That can cause a lot of problems. So, yikes. Alright, one more thing guys. When you're done with your torque wrench, always make sure you set your torque wrench back to the lowest setting on it, which is 10 on this one. Because if you don't do that, then it'll get stretched and you won't be accurate on your torques. So make sure you do that. And I'll be right back after I take a test drive. Okay guys, just a reminder, when you put the skid plate back on, make sure you hook the front first. Because you can see I have only one bolt in, and I barely have it in, and it's holding the whole skid plate up because it's hooked on those hooks. So it's a lot easier to get it up this way. So hope that helps. I almost forgot, guys. On the skid plate here, these bolts, you're going to torque them to 21 foot-pounds. So all 4 of those 21 foot-pounds. And if you did the back skid plate, I don't know for sure on that, but I would imagine it's going to be. And, sorry, one more. When you guys get these back ones tightened up, hand tight, don't tighten them all the way yet with your wrench or your ratchet. Just get them hand tight so that you can line up these front ones, because if you don't have it loose, you may not be able to line up the bolt holes there. So yeah, make sure you do that, and then once you get all 4 of them in, then go ahead and torque them all down. It doesn't really matter which order. Okay guys, so this is going to be kind of a little hard to tell because you can't hear how it sounded before, but you know, compare it to how yours sounds starting up, and tell me what you think. It was not that quiet before. When it started up, yeah, it sounded the same, but it's much quieter afterwards, in my opinion. So, and it feels smoother, like the engine's running smoother. So, I definitely am impressed. So I'll be back when I get done with this little test drive. Okay, I don't use my phone while driving, but for the purposes of science, let's see how it does. Feels really smooth. Very smooth. Much smoother than it did before. And, you know, I know there's maybe a placebo effect, but this is a big difference, guys. Particularly the sound. Okay, guys, it drove really well. I don't know, you know, maybe I'm getting that tick. It's really hard to tell. It got really quiet when I first did it. Now it's kind of ticking, but I'm not sure if that's the tick that I was having before or not. That kind of sounds maybe like just the injectors, but there was definitely something that sounded like a lifter tick before, and I'm not hearing it. So, does you guys sound the same? Am I imagining things? Let me know. Well, I don't know, guys. It sounds pretty good to me. You know, it's hard to say what was normal before because I don't have a video of how it sounded before. But to me, it sounds a lot quieter, and I'm pretty happy with it. I feel like it's going to make a big difference. It's going to protect my engine, and that's the most important thing to me, especially having seen that metal in the drain pan there. So, yeah, I'd like to drop that oil pan at some point just to see if there's anything down inside there. But if there is, hopefully it'll get caught on my magnetic drain plug. But it is done, so I hope it went pretty easy for you. I know the video was pretty long. I try to make it as thorough as possible because, you know, I don't want you to just learn how to change your oil. I want you to understand why things are the way they are, and, you know, why to do it a certain way. And I hope my videos really help you, and I hope all your adventures go well. So have a great day, guys. See you in the next one. Okay, guys, so I wanted to make a little bit of a follow-up on this because of a couple of things. So since I made the video earlier, I did a little research just to find out. There was that metal shaving down in the filter housing, and I believe what happened there is that when I changed the oil the last time, I did not use a torque wrench. Shame on me, but I did not use a torque wrench, and I tightened it, and I didn't think that I tightened it that tight, but when I took it off this time, I could tell that I had. And that metal shaving, because of the size of it, what likely happened is that when I was tightening that filter housing, a piece of metal was scraped off of one of the metal components inside the filter housing because I tightened it too tight. So, you know, it feels like it needs to be tighter, but it really doesn't. That 18 foot-pounds is not a lot. If you tighten it by hand, you'll probably get that. But I think when I did it maybe two hands and then a little crank with the ratchet, but it was obviously too much. And the other thing that I was going to talk about, I'm going to start up the truck in a minute here, was the sound. I did do some research to try and figure out why it seemed like there was such a drastic difference, and I believe that there was. When I started it, we did a cold start. So when you do a cold start, it's going to be quieter in the first place anyway, with the new oil too. And what happens is that you have a baseline of what the engine should sound like normally when you drive it. So when you have such a drastic difference in sound, that becomes your new baseline for the way that the engine sounds. So then I went and I did my test drive, and I even filled up on gas, test drove a little more, and then came back, and the engine was warmed up. So it's going to be a little louder then, and because I got gas, there was an evap valve that was cycling. Now, before, I did not ever hear that. But now that I've got this oil in here, I could hear that. Going around the engine, I can hear different noises that I didn't hear before. I hear the belt, the pulleys, the fan. I even think I heard the alternator. And I know that sounds a little crazy, but it is possible. There are stators and things in there spinning around. Maybe I did. But you definitely hear more noises in the engine if you use this fluid. It makes it quieter, and once you quiet the engine down, it shows what else is there. There's a quote that somebody said that quiet engines tell stories and noisy engines hide things. And it's true. When your engine is quiet, you can hear what else is going on. So I want to do a cold start here and see what it sounds like, and then I'll probably let it warm up and do one of once it's warmed up. So let me go ahead and start it. It is nice and quiet. That is exactly what I heard when I started it. You know, there was not really a tick. If there's any tick there, maybe the injector tick, but you do not hear the typical Tacoma tick, which I think has got to be lifters. It would seem to me if it's going to quiet down that much, it's got to be a lifter tick. And there it is, even quieter. And I don't know what you can hear on the camera, but man, this thing is running beautifully. So we'll kind of listen around. You know, I don't know what your trucks sound like, but mine didn't sound like this before I did this oil change. And even more on this side, nice and quiet too. All around. I'll go ahead and let it run for about 5 minutes in idle, and then we'll see how it sounds then. Okay guys, this is 5 minutes in. 5 minutes idling. She's purring like a kitten. I mean, I don't know if you can tell on video, but listen how quiet it is. I don't hear the tick. I don't hear anything. You know, it's pretty cool outside. You know, maybe a slight injector tick going there, but it's definitely not like it was before. Let's go take a drive, and I'm going to take about 5-minute test drive, get it up to speed, get it up to about 60, and get the engine warmed up, and then we'll hear how it sounds like that. Okay guys, so that is about 6 or 7 minutes more, and it's rocking and rolling, and it sounds real nice. I definitely don't have the tick that I had before. You can hear some noises there, that, you know, I want to say weren't there before, but the thing is, they were there before. They just were masked by the noise of the engine. So now that it's all quiet, and I can hear everything, it's pretty crazy. It's a weird feeling. So I went for about a 6 or 7 minute drive, and I didn't go above maybe 3,000 RPMs, but yeah. I don't know if you can hear it over here, but there is what as far as I can tell, must be the evap valve over here. You can hear it there, but it's making a little bit of noise, but I definitely didn't hear that before. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly that is, but it seems to me like it must be the evap valve cycling. So I guess we'll see, but it's different. Feels weird it being so quiet. Because of it being so quiet, every little sound makes me think there's something going on, but it's just, I can hear it now. So I know my video was extremely long, and it's going to take you less time to change the oil than to watch my video, but I hope it was worth it. You know, listen to your vehicle. If it doesn't sound like this after a 5-minute drive in the evening, then maybe you might want to consider AMSOIL. I certainly would. Well, I certainly wouldn't go with anything else now. My car is going to get AMSOIL next, and to be honest, I don't see any reason to buy anything else. I'm a happy customer, and I'll be a customer of theirs for a long time. And it just makes me happy knowing that the founder of the company was a veteran, and not just that, he was a fighter pilot and a squadron commander. So, special guy. But you guys have a good one, and happy wrenching. Of course, I'm not done. So, the last thing would be the maintenance reminder. Let me close the door here. For the maintenance reminder, we're going to go into the menu here. Sorry, scroll over to the settings. Oops, sorry. Go to settings, and then you've got your maintenance reset. You may have to scroll down to it, but go to the maintenance reset, and it says reset the maintenance reminder. Go to yes, and maintenance reset complete. So that'll turn off your light if it's on. And that's it. Have a good one, guys. Okay, guys, so I just did about a 20-minute drive on the freeway at 80 miles an hour. And literally just now, like, I just got off the freeway. And listen, I mean, this is as heated as it's gonna get. It sounds beautiful. I'm extremely satisfied. This is cool, guys. Change your oil to AMSOIL, and get an AMSOIL filter. I highly recommend it. So whisper quiet. Traffic is louder than the engine. And it's really a Tacoma.